This right here is just another great point on the graph of where we have unnecessary race swapping, because this happens a lot in this modern day. And it's not the fact that it happens like all the time with different types of people and different types of races. It's mainly the fact that it happens one way. And once again, it has happened. And that is with the Odyssey that is coming out this year, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Now, this movie itself, it did get already a decent amount of backlash. Not as much as I'd say that this is probably going to build up to get. But there was a lot of people who weren't necessarily happy of when it came to the way that the armor was depicted inside the movie. Because the movie itself, it is set within the Bronze Age. And some of the armor that is depicted in this movie, in the Odyssey, it's not very, accurate for the times. But at the same time, is that when it does come to this movie isn't based off of like the exact historical like events that happened. Is that when it comes to the Odyssey, the Odyssey itself, it is a story that was based off historical events, but then it was fictionalized and was put like, some mythological creatures were chucked in there. So it's like on a branch of fiction and non-fiction, because the events that did happen around the Odyssey were in fact true of when it follows the one of the commanders, I can't remember his name, but it's the person who Matt Damon is playing, of him coming back after the War of Troy, right? After the Trojan War. And that whole entire thing, that was real. Him going back to Greece after the Trojan War is real, but there are a lot of fictional events that are thrown in there. But that I'm not too fussed about. But even once again, you look at the movie Troy back in 2004, and when it comes to the original armor from the Bronze Age, is that it doesn't really look that great if it was, on the golden screen. It would not look that great in the movies. Okay, it would look kind of shitty. But even once again, you look at Troy from 2004, and you look at the armor there. The armor there, you know what? They did keep a little bit of that historical accuracy a little bit more than like, the Odyssey is, right? And they made it look really great. But now, of when it comes to the backlash of the Odyssey, is Helen of Troy. Now, Helen of Troy in the movie Troy, massive, and especially the whole story of the Trojan War, she's the reason. She is the legitimate reason of why the Trojan War existed, okay? It is because the Prince of Troy, they went over to Greece, they went over to Sparta to, have an alliance, right? And the Prince of Sparta, he took, the King of Sparta, he took his wife, right? He did, and then took her back to Troy. She became Helen of Troy, and then all of a sudden, this fucking whole entire war started over this woman, right? Whole entire thing. And in historical accuracy, this woman is depicted as very fair-skinned, white skin, and is actually at times depicted with mostly ginger hair, with orange hair, and I've seen even at times she's depicted with like, very dark blonde hair. And in the movie Troy in 2004, she is played by a white blonde woman, very attractive woman. But now, in the movie The Odyssey, it has come out that the person who is going to be playing Helen of Troy is Lupita Nyong'o, a black woman. That's right. This is supposedly the first look of Helen of Troy. That's right. This is now Helen of Troy. And I get that Odyssey is not completely a true story, but the people in it are fucking real. All right? They are real. And we would love some sort of historical accuracy, especially when it comes to the people that are inside this story. And it's not just that. It's the fucking fact that shit like this happens all the time. We see it so much. And it's not that it happens all the time. It's the fact of that it only ever happens one way. That's it. That's the reason why people like me are annoyed by this. Because they're like, hey, you're making this movie that is based off of real people. We would like to see some great representation of when it comes to what they actually supposedly looked like in real life. I mean, if you don't know where Troy is, it's on the edge of Turkey, okay? They were Turks. When it comes to the Trojan people, they were Turks. Turkish people, they were white. They still are. They still are at times. They are tanned, but they're still fucking white. They're not black. They're not. I hate to break it to you, but they're fucking not. And once again, it's the fact that this happens only one way. I mean, you look at the recent trailer of when it came to the He-Man movie. Now, that movie, it does look actually really great. I'm not going to lie. But one of the characters from He-Man, this guy is a fucking ginger who he's been playing by Idris Elba. And then I've seen this picture so many times as well. And it's really funny how majority of the time, it's gingers. I don't know what it is with Hollywood and wanting to turn gingers and people with orange hair into black people. It's like they just have this fixation with turning white ginger people into black people. And the funny thing is that they're probably going along the lines of like, oh, but you know, it's to get marginalized people, you know, into the screen and into the front. There is less ginger people in the world than there is black people, okay? There is. Ginger people are a minority, all right? There is a very small amount of the population in the world that are ginger. So you are legitimately trying to get rid of a minority people. You're trying to phase them out and you're turning them like, I don't get what the obsession is all the fucking time with wanting to race swap. And the reason why it's such a big issue as well is because this is a fact. This is a fucking fact. And you can't deny that this is a fact. Is that if you had to make a movie that is based off of real people, and those real people were black, and you had to make one of those characters white, you know for a fucking fact that a city in America would burn down. California, Hollywood would be lit on fire in a day, and they'd start the fucking California fires 2.0 by themselves. That's why this is a fucking issue. It's because it keeps on fucking happening, and it only happens one way. And if it happened the other way, so many people would kick up a fucking fuss about it. And it's really funny because those same people who would kick up a fuss about it being that way, whenever they see this, they tell you that, oh, if you complain about this, you're racist and you're bigoted. No, we complain about this because it's fucking stupid and it only happens one way and it shouldn't happen either way because it shouldn't. Honestly, if there's a movie, like I would be annoyed too if there was a movie based on fucking like, you know, Martin Luther King and it was played by fucking Henry Cavill. Like, even I'd go, what the fuck? Henry Cavill's an English white dude. Why the fuck is he playing Martin Luther King? Like, it just doesn't make fucking sense. It's so stupid, and it's because it keeps on happening all the goddamn fucking time. And I'm sick and tired of it, and people need to start talking about it even more. You need to get more outraged about it, because if you don't keep talking about it, it's just going to keep on fucking happening. And honestly, it needs to stop. It really, really does. But I would definitely like to hear what you guys think about all this down below. That is going to be it from me. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Peace out.